Welcome to our Hot Tips video, How to Fish with Electronic Lures, your special step-by-step guide to getting the most from your Vortex lures. If you're fishing with Vortex for the first time, you're in for the catch of your lifetime, because Vortex are the lures that really produce the trophies you've always dreamt about. So get ready with some wall hanging space. You're going to need it after watching this video and using the Vortex system. But first, how can you get the most from your Vortex lighted lures and fish callers? Listen up as we share with you some of the best kept fishing secrets from fishermen around the country. Fishermen who fish with Vortex lures every time.
Let's take a look at the complete Vortex lures package you got. 3 lighted lures, including the Little Lightning, the Ultimate Minnow, and the Depth Seeker, and the Electronic Fish Caller, all high-tech fishing systems for your use. These lighted lures have become so popular that in certain areas of the country, the water just sparkles with our lighted lures. Now, our research shows the Vortex lighted lures aggravate the fish, much like a leaky faucet aggravates a person. This aggravation will actually cause it to strike at the lure or attack the lure. Some believe the fish are trying to kill the light. Whatever the lighted lure does, it certainly succeeds at landing the keepers each and every time. With a Vortex electronic lighted lure, you don't need bright sunlight to catch fish. In fact, you don't need sunlight at all, because the light is already built into the lighted lure. When you're ready to use it, pop the little watch-size battery into the belly. And when you're done fishing, take them out and save them for the next fishing trip. It's just that easy. To use any of the Vortex lighted lures when casting, simply cast and retrieve at any speed. You should vary your retrieving speed and pause every now and then. Remember that the faster you reel it, the deeper it dives. The slower you reel it, the shallower it dives. For trolling, set the boat speed for the best action of the lure. As an attractor, use a weight or downrigger, fish seeker, or dipsy diver to take the lure to the depth you're running other lures or bait. The lighted lures also work well by running bait or another lure 18 to 40 inches behind it on a leader. Vortex lighted lures give greater visibility night or day, but are most effective if used after dark, in muddy or murky waters, or on cloudy, overcast days. You can use Vortex lighted lures for all types of fishing, but they really shine for bass, steelhead, salmon, and walleye. The Vortex Little Lightning is Vortex's most popular lighted lure. With an electronic flashing light built into the lure, the Little Lightning is at its best when the weather is at its worst. The Little Lightning accurately simulates bait fish and literally draws fish out from under cover straight to your line. The small size of the Little Lightning is going to appeal to a wide variety of fish as a mid-range crankbait. You'll find that it works best around mid-depths. Vary your line size and you'll retrieve for more realistic action. If you want to go deeper than 8 feet, you can use the Little Lightning with weights to carry it down, or just switch to the Vortex Lighted Depth Seeker. Large fish will respond to the Little Lightning even when you're trolling. Remember that with all Vortex lures, you could use a swivel or snap to switch and replace lures easily and quickly. The lighted Ultimate Minnow works best as a topwater bait and has been scientifically designed to give it an action totally unlike any other swimming minnow. It's been called the most lethal surface plug ever made. In cold water periods, one action you'll want to take is to weight the lure around the hook shanks to suspend the Ultimate Minnow in water. This makes your lure a subsurface bait, or it can also make it slowly sink into the water. This action simulates injured bait fish. The Ultimate Minnow, when trolled with downriggers or similar equipment, is an extremely effective deep water bait. The light on this lure will help it show up in muddy or murky waters. The Vortex Depth Seeker was designed for fishing in deeper waters where the really big fish hang out. In fact, the Depth Seeker was designed to accurately duplicate the sound and vibration of shad to trigger the attack instinct of large predator fish. The Depth Seeker also works great when the fish have moved offshore, especially in the summertime as water temperatures increase. Under average conditions, the Depth Seeker will dive to depths of 12 to 15 feet with fast retrieve. The depth seeker is great for trolling bait because it's fairly compact with a tight wobble, and that really attracts the big fish. You'll also notice that a lot of people like to run the depth seeker lower and shallower when fishing for specific fish in certain conditions. For example, walleyes tend to move to more shallow water on dark, cloudy days. Now, how do you care for your Vortex electronic lighted lures? First, it's important to note that these lures must be kept away from all plastic worms. Secondly, these lures come with two 1.5-volt batteries. Insert the batteries positive side up, then place the special O-ring over the threads of the screw cap and tighten using a coin or screwdriver. Remember that the temperature change from a hot tackle box to cold water may cause condensation inside the lure. So when you're done fishing for the day, remove the batteries, dry them, then allow the inside of the lure to dry out. Doing this will greatly extend the life of your batteries. Every now and then, you should clean the battery contact by inserting a pencil eraser and rotating it a few times. Your Vortex batteries have a life expectancy of 24 to 30 hours of fishing if removed and stored properly. Now, let's move on to the Vortex electronic fish caller, the world's first electronic lure to utilize a solid-state speaker, amplifier, and electronic memory to produce the sounds that actually call fish to your line. The fish caller emits the sound of an injured bait fish. It attracts all species of game fish, fresh or saltwater. And even though the fish caller is a large lure, even small fish, including perch, will strike it because of the sound it makes. You know, a lot of people think that fish have little tiny ears. They don't. They hear through their lateral lines, and their hearing is quite good. Listen to the sound of this fish caller. Have you ever noticed that some days you need just a subtle type of lure to catch the keepers, but other days you really need a noisy lure? Well, on those days, you can't do better than the fish caller because it literally calls the fish to your line. You're going to have other fishermen looking at you, wondering what kind of miracle bait or lure you're using. You can tell them or not, but one thing's for sure. With a fish caller, actions will speak louder than words. Predator fish, the ones that hide in brush areas, logs, and weeds, lie in wait for small or injured fish to travel past. When you cast the Vortex fish caller next to, not in, the weedy areas, you're imitating the actions of small fish. Wait for the ripples to clear away before you reel it in. Remember, the lure is a floating lure, so don't be concerned that the lure is surfacing while you're waiting for the ripples to clear. The fish are not attracted to the looks of the lure so much as the sound of the lure. In fact, the water can magnify the sound of the fish caller up to 10 times and can attract fish up to 100 feet away. Once the ripples have cleared away, then reel in your fish caller very slowly. By this time, they should have honed in on the sound and are coming toward it. Since the lure looks like a small fish, if there's a hungry fish around, you'll be sure to attract it. For casting with a Vortex fish caller, cast and retrieve at any speed. Vary the retrieval speed and pause every now and then. Another technique that works exceptionally well is to cast and let the ripples clear, then retrieve a few feet, then pause again. A very slow retrieve. It's best to wait up to a minute or more before starting your retrieve to allow the fish to hone in on the sound. Then start the retrieve from stop and go to medium to fast to trigger strikes. For trolling with a fish caller, troll at any speed, although you'll find that a slow troll gives fish a better chance to hone in on the sound. The fish caller can be used all by itself or with attractors. If using attractors, troll for the best action of the attractor. As an attractor, use the fish caller with a weight or downrigger, fish seeker, or dipsy diver to take the lure to the depth you're running the other lures or baits. The fish caller expands your strike zone by up to 100 feet. The fish caller also works well by running bait or another lure 18 to 40 inches behind it on a leader. The long life battery of the fish caller should give you several hundred hours of fishing time, up to 600 hours of use with proper care. When through fishing, make sure it's stored in a dry plastic compartment. Let's talk about something that's become more and more popular in recent years, and that's the idea of catch and release. You know, environmentalists have told us that as fishing grows more popular, more people are fishing, but the fish supply can hardly keep up with the demand. That's how the idea of catch and release was born. This allows us the thrill of catching the big ones, but also lets us return the fish to the water where they can continue to spawn or be caught again. If you are going to practice catch and release, be prepared. Have your camera ready. Use one of those new water-resistant disposable cameras and make sure that you have someone quick and confident to take your picture when you're ready. With large fish like bass or muskie, be sure you handle them properly so they can be returned safely to their natural waters. Try not to string in the fish and grasp the lower jaw firmly. This will paralyze the fish temporarily while you take that picture. If you do have to use a landing net, don't touch the body of the fish. You can affect the slime coat of the fish, and the fish needs this for its natural protection. The important elements to remember with catch and release are to keep the fish out of the water a maximum of 1 minute. Handle it as little as possible and then quickly release it.
Well, there you have it, the best kept secrets to fishing with Vortex. I hope you've learned something today, something that can help you start catching the keeper fish that will hang on your wall tomorrow. And if you have a special tip to share with Vortex, send it to us for a future how-to fishing video. And keep watching for more from Vortex Lures. We're catching on with more fishermen just like you every day. Goodbye and good fishing.